And I think it makes a good connection. But what I want to ask you is, what do you think about the mindset that the women have here, if you want to call it a feminist mindset or whatever, or a modern woman mindset or boss babe, whatever you want to call it? But do you think that that's a better mindset to have or a worse mindset to have than the women in Venezuela, Colombia, Nicaragua, Mexico? What do you think is the better outcome for a woman as far as her perception of her independence or her need for a man?
Women here are very independent. I
Mhm.
remember my mom told me, don't marry an American guy because they like to go 50-50, and we're not used to that.
That's not true.
That's not true.
No, it's American women that want to go 50-50.
Correct. But that's what she told me, right? But then I learned that no, men like to provide here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we want to be independent.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I can have my job and take care of my family. But if I have a baby, I would rather stay home and take care of the family than go to work, come back, clean the house, take care of the babies. I would drive myself crazy. It wouldn't work.
Of course not.
So there has to be a balance in everything.
Mhm.
So
Well, what you're describing is you're describing being independent up until you have a baby, and then once you have the baby, you depend on your man. But a lot of women in the Western world think that they should just be raising their kids by themselves. They still don't need a man after they have a kid. We live in a society where women think that they don't need a man at all, no matter what happens.
Which is ridiculous.
And so I think since you being from Nicaragua, you have a better perception and perspective because you know at some point, right? Like, do you really want to have a kid, work at the same time? I mean, do you want to do all this? You're working double time if you have to be the man and be the woman at the same time. So I think that
why would you do that to yourself?
Right.
Or somebody else is raising the kid, which is really what's happening. These women are acting like they're doing both. You're not doing both. You're doing a half-assed job at both.
Exactly.
You know, because you're not killing it at work, and then you're not killing it as a mom. So you're really doing both
You're
things.
not giving you 100%.
Right, that's what I'm trying. You can't.
Right. You can't. There's no way.
Like, the amount of times
You
I've
have
heard
to have
women
another person.
say that they're gonna do both of these things 100%. It's like, do you not understand how fractions work?
Right.
You can't do 100% of two different things. It's
Impossible.
a percentage.
Right.
So either you 40% this, 60% that, or 50 this, 50 that. So they don't realize that when you go out and work, then your parenting is gonna suffer. And if you stay home and parent, then your finances are going to suffer. You're going to have to depend on the government welfare handouts or whatever. So this is why God made two parents.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Everything in nature, what God have created is perfect.
Tell me about
If
it.
He wanted us to have babies on our own, it will happen.
And there are animals that can do that. There are animals that can reproduce asexually. Right?
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong when you said there's nothing wrong with being independent. Well, there is. If there's something wrong with being independent of a man, that's the better way to say it. If you think that you should just be independent of a man and never need one or want one or whatever, that's a bad mindset to have. And I think so. What you're describing is to be able to take care of yourself, make your own money. Right. That's adult stuff. That's what people do. They work. But what we're talking about really is when it comes to relationships, raising kids. A lot of these women here that live in the United States, when they turn 60, 70, 80, it's gonna hit them all like, oh shit.
Yeah, there's no such thing as independence though. There's no such thing. Women aren't really
right.
independent.
They're not. Yeah, they're still getting.
And then it's guys aren't independent either. If you're so independent, okay, go start a business by yourself. Go start and run a business by yourself. Knock yourself out. You see what I'm saying? Okay, go ahead and adopt kids and then raise them by yourself. Like nobody's truly independent.
Yeah.
I think the difference is that when you are exchanging value, you don't have to rely on anybody to give you anything for nothing. Right. That's what it is. And some people misinterpret that as independence. That's not really independence. You still need these other people. The thing is, you're giving them something of equal or greater value, which is why they're participating. So even if the woman was relying on the man, he wouldn't be doing that unless he was getting something from her. And I think that's the disconnect that these women are having, is they're thinking that they're going to do their own thing up until they don't feel like it anymore. And then they're going to let some guy come in and pick up the slack. It's like, well, what do you have to offer him at that point? You don't even have anything to offer him by then, because whatever it is he would have wanted, you wouldn't go through that around and wasted that elsewhere. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm 30 now. So now I don't feel like going to work full time anymore. So, okay, now I'll marry you and you can take care of me.
Thank you for watching the first case study class of the Mentuition Academy. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so that you are notified when we post our most up-to-date content. Also, please subscribe to our brand new Instagram page, as we will be posting exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos that won't necessarily make it on YouTube. Class is dismissed.